We have a great honor here. Elizabeth Hahn is in the house. She's a health journey expert, big thinker, relentless, embraces grand challenges, entrepreneur, innovator, and Silicon Valley marketer, disruptor, co-founder of the Autism Impact Fund, co-founder Charm Health, co-founder at the Brain Foundation, producer director in our own hands, how patients are reinventing medicine. Welcome, Elizabeth. Oh, we have somebody from this side of the Bay Area. Yeah. The left side of the Bay Area.
So is someone, how do I advance?
Just the arrow, down arrow.
I just push there, so we're gonna get my back up here. There I am. There I am.
First of all,
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Horn. And forgive me for sort of reading when you asked me to talk about innovation and autism, because I've been in the game as long as Kathy, for sure, sort of taking a completely different approach. However, I have so many things going on that I thought I would just give you a glimpse of a couple of them, and then I can take questions from the group. So you can see that I'm all about redefining autism. I want to understand the biology driving behaviors. My daughter's 30, so I've been looking at this every single day for 28 years. And looking at it from the perspective of someone who's in the middle of Silicon Valley, where I understood early that data was missing in understanding what was going on with my daughter. But it's now possible, thanks to all sorts of new tools, to see the things that have previously been invisible and use those things to make determinations not only about what autism actually is, because right now it's a pretty meaningless term, to what your child's or your brother's autism actually is, what you can do about it, and whether or not the things you're doing about it are actually doing anything to change baseline metrics. So with that, who are we? 2M Foundation, and we're not that far away. It's a nonprofit and based in Silicon Valley, which is relevant for all the reasons I just said. We're extraordinarily technology driven. Patient-led is important in everything we do, particularly now that AI is on the scene. And you'll see from some of the diagrams I'm going to show you, it's all about beginning and ending with the patient, your sister, your brother, your daughter, and finding out exactly what's going on with them and being able to use that information to help manage their care. So the latest initiative, and we have many, the latest initiative that we started about a year ago, and it's called the H2O Coalition, and the H2O stands for Healthcare 2.0. So we actually built a plan for a completely new way of doing healthcare, starting with autism and technology driven. So just a little more background about me. I'm mom to a young woman living with this diagnosis. I've spent 30 years in the trenches with a growing army of people who share the mission to find the answers for autism. We're the early adopters, so we tried every treatment, therapy, diet, supplement, med, and when nothing helped the worst symptoms, we prototyped our own solutions, did our own trials, and of ones and of tens and of 50s. I made films about the movement toward patient-driven health, developed a quantified classroom for my daughter because she was kicked out of her school, which enabled us to start collecting massive amounts of data on her about 10 years ago. Decades have passed since my daughter's diagnosis, but autism, I'm still asking the same basic questions about my daughter, and I will not rest until I get the answers, not just for my daughter, but for everyone. And part of my journey most recently has been an introduction to the government, which I always avoided like the plague because I viewed government as drag. Still could be. But the new administration is actually interested in redefining autism in the same way that we are interested in redefining autism. So we have a window of opportunity to get an influx of capital for the kinds of models that I'm going to show you today. I'm also all about acceleration, which is kind of funny since I've been doing this for 30 years. But as I've been telling people, as I've spoken around the country, this is the year of the turning point. This is the year where we finally start to get to answers. And once we have answers, we begin to build on a new foundation of understanding that will help us do the two things that the executive order to HHS from the president stipulated. One, better subtype and track the efficacy of treatments in autism. Two, prevent it. So I'm all about those things, completely aligned. Innovation to us means developing, delivering and scaling new products, services, processes, and business models that fit into this brand new platform for healthcare that we propose. And it's not just me. These are, and you probably recognize quite a few of these faces, at least some of you do. So I've spent the past 30 years also collecting the thought leaders and people who are open-minded thinkers, most of them outside of existing systems, interestingly enough, many of them outliers to autism generally, but who all agree that the kinds of data, the daily dynamic data that we need, the missing pieces of the puzzle for all of chronic health, chronic disease and health, is going to come from a whole bunch of different places and sometimes not the places that you might expect. So the H2O initiative, the plan was presented in September to the Deputy Director of NIH, and she's interested in collaborating with us on a radically innovative way, new way to think about doing healthcare. Our engineering partner, Sam DeBrouwer, has a company called XYAI. She's a serial entrepreneur. She has a son with issues as well. But they developed with us an agentic AI app called Count AI that we've been using for about a year now. I knew that ChatGPT and OpenAI would get into this market. The great thing is we've been using it for a long time now with my daughter. We're the first use case, and we're able now to predict her seizures up to a month in advance, sometimes to within 2 minutes of when they're going to occur. All because of data. Yeah, it's a total wow. It's a life-saving kind of wow. And with nothing and not expensive things to do that. Okay, so the next. So the really cool first feature of this H2O platform is something that we're calling the resilience score. And the resilience score is relevant not just to autism, and the omics that you see depicted here next to this proof of concept idea for what a score could look like. Are the things that we're just recommending. But the front end for this score will come not only from direct-to-consumer testing, clinical testing, obviously, if you have that kind of information, it can be dumped into your data set, the data set about the kid, but also wearable sensor data, so you get a continuous stream of longitudinal data. And the cool thing about technology right now is everybody's developing every conceivable kind of wearable or sensor you could ever imagine. So headbands, low-hanging EEG, information about the exposome, sensors to find out what kind of particulate, hundreds and hundreds of them. Many of them come to our group and give us demos and give us the opportunity to beta test them. So it's not just the Apple Watch and the Garmin, and there's so many different things, but they all have APIs and they can all talk to the platform that's relevant to your particular kid. So you do a plug and play kind of health care play in order to figure out what you need to track about your kid. And those things will change over time because our kids are not just one thing. They're a set of things that move dynamically through time and are influenced by environmental factors, diet, sleep, you name it. So the resilience score idea, the concept of the score, is extraordinarily appealing to all the people in the H2O group, no matter where they come from, particularly with autism. And we know we have a kid, when we have kids with autism, you talk to another parent or sister or brother. Oh, well, does your brother do this? Does your sister? Well, has your sister? I want something I can show people on my phone that will immediately tell them what my daughter's strengths and weaknesses are today. I want one iconic, quick image. So that's this idea for a score like this. So everybody loves it. Very, very hard to do. But we have an administration that's willing to actually entertain figuring out how to do this. I want the score when the baby's born. So I want babies born with instructions. So when a baby's born, you know they have MTHFR issues, you know they have methylation sensitivities, you know. So you have a list of things you then start to track. So the view of your child's health will be maybe even preconception, lifespan view that you can pan across using agents to look and see exactly what's going on with that kid. So if something goes off, you know immediately. You don't spend 20 years later trying to look back and remember, did my kid have a virus? Was my kid experiencing some mold? What? Which is what we've been doing for the past 30 years in the autism space, the biology of autism. So the resilience score will leverage AI, most importantly, because everybody's investing in AI like crazy right now. But we know that our AI actually works because we've been using it for a year. Just a proof of concept. But as I said, it's already making predictions which are super relevant. So integrating genomics, digital measurements into an actionable profile that reflects adaptive capacity and tracks health improvements and interventions over time. So you can look at things like immune function, cardiovascular strength, metabolic integrity, all of these things that we know are relevant to health in general, and absolutely relevant to our kids with autism. I mean, my daughter's improvements, and some of them are massive, have not come from any drug. She's never been on a drug, but from fitness, which I will show you later, from things that everyone can do. And Yuli has stories about this too with his daughter. Everyone can do, doesn't require anything magical, but all I say is if you're going to do this, here's a template on how to do it, please track it. And if you're going to track it, please share the data, even de-identified or synthesized data, because the more we can see about what seems to be working to eliminate aggression and dysregulation with no meds, no behavioral therapy, no, with exercise. And the side effects are pretty great. Lost 30 pounds, sleeps better, academics are better, and the parents who go with them also are more fit. So it's a win-win for me. So the kind of ecosystem, love these diagrams, by the way. So you can see in this diagram, the most important thing is it begins and ends in my hand with my phone with that information about my kid that I own. So I have to go and beg for my EHR data, which is not actually nearly as useful as everyone thinks it would be, because it's long interval. We're talking about every day. So the Apple Health Kit people, the VP of Health at Apple has been really supportive of the work that we've been doing because it helps to sell their devices for one thing. But if we could just have the long view of what's going on with these kids, we're finally going to start to see what's actually responsible for the behaviors that we call autism. Okay, so the count, and Sam DeBrow was going to try to be here today, and she brought me on her phone. I do not have it on my phone, it's on my daughter's phone. But the kinds of information that we started pulling and putting on a phone, and we just went through a new rev of this, and it's much simpler because, you know, we love to look at data, and your average parent knows this stuff. So we really boiled it down to 3 things that you as a parent can do today, or 3 things you need to be aware of that are pulled not only from the data set you've been compiling on your kid, but from looking across all the foundation models about all of the comorbidities that are relevant to your child. So we look across all the seizure foundation models, all the aggression foundation models, and Count AI gets back to us instantly with information that's relevant to Sophia, my daughter, based on her data and what we currently know. And every time it does that, it learns and gets smarter. So the resilience score program that we proposed to NIH would include a first cohort of 1,000 kids with autism all doing this, and then sharing that data, de-identified data. So can't wait to run algorithms against this kind of data. One of the things we want to measure, and this gets to the work that Yuli's been doing, is movement. And the thing about autism and motor that's so obvious, but we always miss it. Speaking is motor. Gait and balance is motor. Typing is motor. Writing is motor. So a lot of times now, as Kathy was saying, when a kid can't speak, they assume they're intellectually disabled. I assume they're motor challenged. That they're totally in there, but they can't get their uncooperative body to get it out. So we have a group called the Move Group. Here they are. And again, experts, and it's expanded since then. Usually it's part of our group now. Motor experts from all over the world who I've gotten to come to my place here in Hillsborough. And we all agree that we need a motor signature for autism and we need a motor subtype for autism. Now, what's cool about a motor subtype for autism is we have different ways of treating those kids than behavioral therapy. Behavioral therapy has been a big moneymaker, really helpful to some. I think extraordinarily harmful to others. It certainly made tons of money for people. And the problem when you have something that's so unbelievably successful and you already have an infrastructure is oftentimes you stop looking to see if it's actually working. So we want an alternative path that's motor based. And again, if you start with a baseline motor signature, and we're discussing the 5 things we could start measuring, and most of them will be passively populated through wearables and sensors. You want to go to a clinic to get this measurement. When you do something, you can see if it's changing. Because it's so easy to be fooled as a parent. Well, I think she's feeling better. Well, she seems less anxious. Well, we've got hard data that's just irrefutable that says she's improving in her gait and balance metrics. So the autism motor signature is something that we're working on. If we can get the new NIH to agree that we need to create a motor subtype in autism, that's going to change a lot of things for a lot of kids really fast and also open up an entirely new marketplace of tools and therapies and things like a network of gyms that run our fitness program. So all the gyms that are already out there, that are already bricks and mortar, you just plug this in, you do the tracking, you come up with a way of creating a cohort of people who are all doing fitness, and you can see, is this working to eliminate violent aggression in all of these young adults? I mean, holy moly, huge improvement, the quality of life and all that stuff that we talk about all the time. So this is the MOVE group. This is a really cool graphic that we made because once we started the fitness routine, and the Count fitness routine is not magical. It's cardio plus weight training, and a specific kind of weight training and we sort of built this on the Divergent fitness model down in LA. They've been doing it for a while now with about 80 kids. Again, to great success. These are mostly young adults or adults who had real behavioral issues. And they found that running this protocol improves their behavioral health and physical health so that they often don't need meds, don't need as many supports or whatever. And again, there's no real downside to this. Regional centers are covering this in LA. But the amazing thing for us, so we tried this, and what we found was running the fitness routine, and you really can tell a similar story. And doing it religiously, we basically eliminated all of my daughter's meltdowns. And they were a huge problem for many, many, many years. I mean, seriously, aggressive, getting kicked out of school, biting, head banging. I mean, I used to be so bruised, people thought I was being beaten every day by trying to keep her from hurting herself. So 0. No meds, no 30 pounds, because you did Resperdone, no, massive 0. And now she asked to work out. And now she has boys working out with her, which she really enjoys. So that would never, ever have happened were it not for trying something. Because it's radical, but it's common sense, Okay, so just to close out my skim. So everything in this new world of personalized precision healthcare must begin with the patient. That's one of our core beliefs. The person living with the symptoms of a body that is not cooperating and functioning properly. Now we have the tools for collection. We understand how to begin to integrate these sometimes unstructured heterogeneous data sets. Beginning to understand the problem of warehousing vast multimodal data at an enormous scale continuously. We know we need powerful partners to do this. We can work to make sure AI delivers on its promise of seeing patterns in autism data sets, finding value in legacy data sets, and learning from longitudinal newly captured daily data from sensors and wearables. So whenever I describe this vision to people, I always say, look, this is a big software company that you will never exit from. I mean, really what I'm hoping is people can come in and say, this is the way we need to do health. We need to make this so amazing. There are constantly new wearables and sensors. There are constantly new ways of looking at data. AI is just spinning out and evolving by the second. So the most important thing we have in this country is our health, and certainly the health of our children. And these people whose health has virtually been ignored, except by the parents. And if you're lucky enough to have a good doctor who's willing to look at the microbiome and the metabolome and to stay abreast of what they're doing with low level or low hanging fruit, longitudinal EEG. I mean, every single second of every day I'm getting pinged about someone who has a new way of measuring us. I just want to take all of that and focus it on my daughter and people like her, because I think there's a lot for us to learn about what's actually going on. And I won't rest until my daughter is speaking, which she definitely wants to do. She wants to be a neuroscientist. I think they all want to be neuroscientists because they all want to try to figure out what the heck. They want to help us poor, woeful helpers to try to figure out what's actually going on. I tell parents, I mean, my daughter, I was told, these stories are so common, but I was told that I was being silly, trying to think I could ever teach her to read. She would never do that. I was told she would never basically do anything. And that I was, mother in denial and I need to give up. Well, clearly, I'm not a good listener. So thank God. Thank God I didn't listen to anything anyone ever told me about her. And recently we had one of her tutors, and she's got a ton of them because we need really smart people to work with her. But they said, write something, describe something that doesn't have any borders. And she wrote, "My mom is limitless." I want them to be enough. Questions?
Yeah.
You're going to question me.
No, just sharing.
Go ahead.
Yeah. A great presentation, and I would like to share that, my son, I've never given him any medication till now. And, it has, only one thing I need to add on to what you have told is nutrition.
Absolutely.
And that is a game changer, for whatever I've done. My son, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, he gave a speech in Toastmasters in front of 150 people for 5 minutes.
Wow, that's amazing.
5 minutes.
I love it.
And I never thought he would be able to do it. I never thought so.
I think we can't imagine what they can do once we
Yeah.
stop thinking we understand what's going on with them.
So, I agree completely. No medicine as of now. But my only thing is the whole ecosystem is broken. So we have to all come together
I know.
to bring it together. That's the only way we can do it. And I see so many startups, passion-based startups coming up, but they have a lot of limitations. So we should merge those startups, or, like Uli said, we have to create a collective startup, this thing, because they will never be successful if they are, in working in silos.
I completely agree with you. And that's what we've endeavored to do in our small way. I do think with this administration, what Bobby and Jay and the others have said, and the deputy director, is bring us turnkey solutions, and we'll find a way to greenlight that so you guys can move forward quickly, because we also have, a ticking clock. Midterms are coming up. They're trying to do a lot of things that some of them people love, some of them people hate. I don't really care about that. What I care about is taking the experiences of people like you and informing the people who are following after. Because you're right about the startups. Most of them are going to fail.
Yeah.
One of our H2O members is Sean O'Sullivan, who runs the biggest accelerator in life science in the world.
Yeah.
And his son has issues. So we've got people who know what all the obstacles are that are sitting around the table, but still the passion of the families who've seen success is what's going to pull this thing.
Absolutely. He also worked with Special Olympics. He's the ambassador for Special Olympics and all of that.
Talk about doing impossible things.
Yes. Thank you. We have met before. My name is Bharat.
Hi, I'm sure we are. I get around.
Yeah.
You have questions?
Yes, thank you so much. That was a fantastic presentation. I was particularly caught on one of your slides because my wife has been saying that we need this for forever, as long as I remember, and a blockchain enabled pristine parse individuals with health wallets, the idea of the blockchain health wallet.
Yeah.
Love it. I texted that to my wife and she's like, wait, who's doing that? You know, and I wanted to know,
Oh, you
like,
have to call
are you guys building that yourselves, or what does that health wallet look like? And how can it's a two-part question. Who's building it? And how can companies that already exist, I've got two in particular, actually get plugged into that wallet?
Well, what we're hoping with this healthcare 2.0 platform, the resilience score is just the first of 10 programs and they're all big, they're all big and bold ideas, but we're hoping that with funding coming from the government plus private, because the other rule is public-private. They never just want to be, I think it's still private that's going to keep things accelerated. Once we have the notion, then all comers will be invited, all aligned thinkers, because like anything else with tech, the best of breed is eventually going to win. And the best of breed may change 4 months from now when something else. We just have to be willing to say, we just want the best forever. Just keep changing it, upgrading it until it works for everyone. And like I said, the whole idea of preventing is the only way we're really ever going to save healthcare. It's not just autism, all these chronic diseases.
Much broader
problem. The whole sick care system. But if we can all stay out of it, that'll save everybody a lot of money. So, and eventually people will like that idea. Right now, people aren't that nuts about it unless you're someone with a sick kid or you're sick yourself. And you've been trying to cobble this together on your own, which is what the MECFS people, the Alzheimer's, I've got the Parkinson's people, I've got everybody coming, because we're all trying to build the same infrastructure. Like you said, let's build one together. Brilliant idea. So yeah, have her contact me.
So for your MOVE initiative, have you currently partnered with a motion tracking lab?
No, I'd love to.
Okay, I was asking, do you have one? If not, I know some.
Oh, good.
I did get analysis for 2 years as part of my PhD, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, we right now, what I've been doing is I gathered some practitioners who are working in the motor space.
Yeah.
So people, I won't give you the names, some of them won't mean anything to you. Definitely some investors who are interested in investing in things like this. And then the academics that are most notable, Liz Torres at Rutgers, Maria Modi at Harvard, MIT. I just get everybody to come for 3 days and we work out the kinks until we all agree, okay, we have to start with what do we want to measure on Rev 1 of a motor signature?
Yeah.
And then we figure out how are we going to measure it? What do we use? What do we need? What tools do we need? So I just keep increasing the circles until we get all of the things in it that we need till we have a working prototype, which is kind of what I did with Count, the AI app. So I'm a nonprofit. I don't want to run these companies. That's not what I want to do.
Well, happy to talk further. I know there's a lot of wearables out there claiming gait analysis. I've actually done the full 22 marker system with the 18 cameras. It's a complex problem, so there's not a lot of good wearables. You could just get it in.
And we're talking to Aura. Aura's thinking of coming up with a new non-ring thing, So, but that's what I love about tech. Tech is not like medicine and science. Tech is just like, we're going, and it never stops, and it just keeps getting better and faster, and cheaper. So, any other questions?
First of all, fantastic talk, and so much was not on the slide. So, are you going to be sharing speakers notes, or is there going to be a video? Because there's so much I want to go back to.
Video.
Right. And the other thing is just, as an observation, I came here to learn more just about the space in general, given what I know about this. But I can't tell you how inspired I am listening to you, Kathy, and what people you're doing. That it's like that movie, if anybody's old enough to remember Network, mad as hell not going to take it anymore. That change doesn't happen without people like you driving it.
Yeah, I know.
And, our organization has been around for over 100 years, but we're definitely going to follow up and see what we can do. I used to be in tech for 35 years, people coming to serve individuals with developmental disability or autism.
Right.
And, just listening to what you're doing, it's just very inspiring. That just want to commend you for what you are all doing.
Well, thank you so much.
Pretty impressive.
It's great. It was great to go. I've never been to Washington, well, not since I was a child, to Washington, DC, but to pitch this there and see the reaction, I was actually shocked at how supportive and inspired and interested. It's easy to be now they have to belly up too far, so to speak, but this group definitely wants to seek real help for these families, particularly Bobby Kennedy. I mean, I know him a little bit now, and he really wants to help these families. Okay, so let's do it. let's just change what we've been doing and do something different. You know, why not? Nothing to lose. So.
Is the goal is to share this data? I mean, because obviously with an app, people are always like, please, I don't want you to track me, or I don't, but this is really important data. Have you figured out a way to convince people to supply anonymous data so that we can use it in research?
One of our H2O members is Zen Honeycutt, who runs Moms Across America. She has 1 million moms. So they're part of we're going to do a hackathon on data sovereignty, privacy in March around this whole thing. So the people who are most concerned will sit at the table and figure out how we can make it trustworthy. But one of our marketing pro bono helpers also is the marketing guy who works for Oprah. And when he was at one of our meetings, he said, you need to talk about this like donating blood. Donate your data.
Absolutely.
If you really want to figure out what's going on, donate your data. De-identify. Honestly, I have so much data on my daughter, I don't know who would want to look at it, what they could possibly learn, but obviously if it can predict a seizure or a meltdown, or for a parent who's thinking about taking that kid in a pool and they don't because they get a warning, this is not a good day, and they save that kid's life. Holy smokes. I mean, this is amazing. There's nothing else that predicts like we've been able to do right now.
I thought about using that tool towards helping the independent young adults. I've got a 19-year-old in his first quarter in college right now who's trying to figure out his regulations and just self-monitoring.
Absolutely.
And so like, I couldn't get into we're trying to get him to wear a Fitbit or anything. He's like, no. So I'm thinking already about how am I going to pitch this to him?
It took us a while to get my daughter to wear the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're talking to Aura about some sort of a patch. The cool thing is, like technology, there's going to be something that this little tiny thing you can wear that's going to do all that. We know it's coming. I just talked to a doctor who's getting ready to do 4 blood spots that look at absolutely everything. It's not Theranos, but it's better kind of thing. So I'm not worried that we'll have the right thing at the right time. It's that consensus that this is the new way to think about autism. That's the most important thing, because all of the money's being shoveled in the 6 out of 10 behaviors direction. We want to shovel some of that money to the what is it actually direction. And then how do we track it, and how do we remove the life-limiting symptoms that accompany autism that aren't really autism? Seizures isn't really autism. GI disease isn't really autism. Some kids are now coming up with early Parkinson's. That isn't really. So what do we really have going on here? That's my unanswered question.
I just want to start off by saying thank you for that talk. That was really inspiring. I'm an innovator in the space, and like you said, we talked to countless number of parents who use our platform to collect lots of different kind of data. We're looking at sleep, we're looking at diet, we're looking at GI, we're looking at like environment, we're looking at stress, we're looking at screen time, things that just have impact.
They all have an impact.
They definitely do. And I'm curious, because since you have so much experience in it, where do you think innovation is missing, right? What's that missing piece that you think could really add a lot to the space?
Certainly in all of the wearables and sensors. Like I said, those are going to be evolving forever and ever. I think the biggest area of innovation is in the minds of people. Certainly the existing academic structure around autism, I always try to flip them. I try to turn them when they come, and including Lawrence Fung. I try to turn everybody into thinking about autism as something that we really still don't understand. So the biggest innovation is in changing the way people think about, and maybe even changing the name of autism too. Because Tom Insel, when he came and met with me a few months ago, and he ran in IMH for 13 years, he said it's a bunch of different conditions. And he loves my diagram, by the way. So he said they tried to do that when he ran in IMH. I said, great, why did you fail? He said, because it wasn't patient-led, hugely important, and because there was no agentic AI. So I really believe agentic AI was one of the last missing pieces of innovation. And certainly Count, one of the other stories I tell about, because I have a big staff that works with my daughter, tutors and fitness people, and I'm really lucky. And it's a lot to manage, but they all love her and they all have really helped her a lot. And I walked up to her classroom at the end of the day and I heard one of my teachers talking with someone about neurotransmitters and glutamate GABA balance. I'm like, who the heck is he talking? Well, he's talking to Couch. He was talking to the app. And I thought, oh my God, I just burst out laughing. I said, I've been dreaming about the day when something else would ride alongside my head and all the heads and watch everything and never forget anything, or where you put that short chain fatty acid lab score, you know. So that's the promise of AI for our kids. And like I said, for babies who are yet to be born, maybe we can prevent them from ever getting this diagnosis. So that would be the best.
Sorry, one more question. I feel like the parents, if you are using this app, the day-to-day, is there a way that you're collecting information from them about what it was like for their kid that day?
Yeah, and you just talk to them. You don't have to type, because I hate surveys, I hate typing anything in, I don't want to do it, nobody wants, you know, we're sick of doing that. So you just have a conversation with your data in an ongoing way. So yeah, and if Sam were here, if she shows up, she can actually show you what it looks like, which is, it's not an insignificant effort to build this, by the way, you know, and it is still just a proof of concept. But meeting with other people who have the same thing in mind and collaborating would be wonderful. Because right now, I built it because I couldn't find it anywhere. So, thanks everybody.
Thank you.